Welcome to Pub Up Pub, the mobile speakeasy where we talk with interesting people. And if you don't know who this gentleman is, either you don't like improv or you've been living under a comedy rock. Today we have Mr. Greg Proops, stand-up comic, improviser, and general smartest man in the world, at least according to his podcast. Greg Proops has been a stand-up comedian and improv master for over 30 years. Originally working in the San Francisco Bay Area, he got his big break on Whose Line Is It Anyway with the BBC. Since then, he's taken his comedy acts all over the world, as well as acting and doing voiceover in some classic and not so classic pieces. We invited him to come chat with us over the Greg Proops Maui Wowie, a cocktail inspired by his preference for vodka and his ongoing dalliance with a certain herbal refreshment.
Now, what are you putting on top
I'm
here?
putting a little bit of chocolate on top.
Oh my
as well.
God! Why do I feel like I'm in a sorority all of a sudden here?
I don't know.
Maui Wowie with half and chocolate. And thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, how's your pet ocelot?
My pet ocelot is divine. Adina has been roaming around the lawn for the last couple of weeks. Very frisky this time of year.
Greg does not really own an ocelot, but says so in some interviews because no one really checks that.
So I imagine over your career you've had a few hecklers from time to time.
I have, yes.
Do you have a memory of sort of your either your worst heckler or your favorite time that you've shot down a heckler?
Well, the funniest one, I think, and again, you never want to start a story with this is funny, but I was playing at the Improv in San Francisco, and the guy wasn't heckling so much as just over enthusiastic, right? I'm doing my set, and of course I'm marvelously funny, but he was laughing too hard, right? Like ha 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 at every single joke, like really losing it, every joke. And finally I stopped and I went, why so jolly? You know, everyone likes the show, but you're like coming apart here. And he goes, I just got out of prison. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah, I was in San Quentin. I just did like 7-year bid for embezzlement. And I said, F me. And he goes, if you'd been there, we would have. And I fell over on the stage and the audience went into hysterics and drinks flew in the air. And I've never laughed so hard in my life. That was the funniest thing anyone's ever said to me from the audience. So a couple of weeks later, I'm in Walnut Creek at the Punchline, and I hear his laugh, har, 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 again. And I go, you, it's San Quentin, where are you? And he...
That's fantastic. When you did Nightmare Before Christmas, did you have any interaction with Tim Burton?
No. Tim Burton conceived it, and it was directed by a director named Henry Selick, who made James and the Giant Peach and Monkey Bone, subsequent to that, and Danny Elfman did the score. So most of our interaction, when I say ours, of course I mean me, but I like to speak in the third person. Yeah. I like to be like Justin Bieber. What Greg did, I was a monster voices in it, and I sang, believe it or not.
See how I transform this old rat into a most delightful hat.
We just did it at the Hollywood Bowl and Halloween and Day of the Dead this year. I guess they got the idea earlier in the year to do the Nightmare live with a full orchestra and show the movie. Yeah. And then stop the movie and then bring people out and sing songs and whatnot. And there was 100 people in the orchestra, 20 people in the chorus, 5 of us featured singers, Danny and his partner from Oingo Boingo, and I just, I'm standing next to John, the conductor, and I said to him, gee whiz, I'm not a singer. And he goes, we need your texture. Because my voice sounds like this, and they all sound like beautiful voices. So for me, it was a high point of my life. I've never had that much fun on stage.
Yeah, with all the stand-up and improv and everything, did you ever audition at all for Saturday Night Live or any of?
Oh yeah, when I was 31, I think I auditioned for it. And Dave Thomas's wife was in charge of casting then. Her name was Pam Thomas, and she was lovely. And she said, you're too old for this show. And I said, well, what are you going to do? Get a 21-year-old with no chops? And she went, yes. She went, we can teach people chops. Because at 31, I had been a veteran. I had already been doing comedy for a long time, and I was like, okay, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then, you're known for Star Wars for doing one of the two voices.
Yes,
So how did that come about?
Well, I was playing in Scotland in Edinburgh at the festival, and they were getting ready to shoot The Phantom Menace, which, as you know, is the finest of all of the Star Wars movies. Awful accident occurred while we were shooting it, and much of the plot was destroyed. Anyways, the casting person came, and they were looking for American voices. For some reason, they didn't want the pod race announcers to be British. I guess they thought it was more sporty to have it be American, even though road racing is way more popular in England than it is here. We had giant heads made. Model makers made these enormous prosthetic heads for us, and they were very excited because they'd had Uma Thurman in the week before. She was getting her cat suit made for Avengers, that wonderful motion picture you may remember. They'd had her down to her underwear, right, and they'd had to wrap her all day, and so they were still talking about it, right? They were like, never mind you guys, we had Uma Thurman in here last week in
we did a body cast.
Yeah, we had to do a body cast. By the way, the heads were CGI'd right out. You don't see us in the movie. We're we're CGI'd, animated in the movie. But you can go online and find me and Scott in our heads.
It's time for 5 questions, or any other game will we choose, because it's our show. Sponsored by no one.
What is your favorite color?
Blue, navy blue probably.
Gotcha.
Dark blue. Eve Klein blue.
So who played young Anakin Skywalker?
Oh golly, that blonde fellow. Oh, Jake Lloyd?
Yeah.
There you are.
That's right.
Sorry, Jake.
That's all right.
It's Chinatown.
Now, your good buddy Craig Ferguson.
Yes.
What town was he born in?
My guess is Glasgow.
You are correct. All right.
Not Motherwell or Paisley.
And now we're going to get into some more difficult ones.
All right.
When was the Colorado Amendment 64 for personalized and recreational marijuana passed?
I'd say 2013.
November 6, 2012. And the last one, because of your love of ocelots. How many ocelots are there in the wild here in the United States? So tell us a little bit about your podcast and what you've got coming up. You're going to be traveling a ton, so...
Yeah, coming in this month I'm in LA, but the podcast is every week. It's on iTunes, or you can go to gregproops.com or proopcast.com. The smartest man in the world. We're in our 5th year, and we've been around the world with it. But I wrote a book this year called The Smartest Book in the World, and we did a book tour. So I did podcasts all through that to help finance the book tour and get the word out. And so we did one at a place called the Society Club in London, which is a bar like this, but a bookstore and a bar. So it had a full bar, and it's a bookstore, and I just stood up in the corner and spieled, and there was about 40, 50 people. Then we stopped halfway through so everyone can go out and smoke, and then come back in and reconvene. So that was a really fun night. Oh, I also have a new record. It's called In the Ballpark, and you can download it on iTunes or Spotify or a million different places on the web. It's also on vinyl.
I saw that last night.
I had it last night.
Is it also available on CD, or is it just vinyl and digital download?
Just digital download and vinyl. We
awesome.
decided to go vinyl because I'd never done it before. So at this late date in my 50s, and I'm 65 now. It's the first book I ever wrote and the first vinyl record. So I'm getting right on that. Could have done it 20 years ago, done it now.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming
Bob.
on. Until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.